Welcome back. And to anybody who is just joining us online, you are watching live streaming coverage of the Microsoft CXO Summit. My name is Tan Tan, and I'll be your MC today. So we're going to get right back into our awesome lineup of sessions. In June of last year, Microsoft made headlines when it announced its largest acquisition to date. In December, this groundbreaking new deal was reached to acquire LinkedIn, which officially brings the networking giant into the Microsoft family. So back at that first announcement, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella was quoted in the news saying that this deal is the next step forward for Office 365 and Dynamics as they connect to the world's largest and most valuable professional network. So we're about to get an exclusive peek at what this exciting initiative will mean to organizations around the world, with the focus on creating something we call intelligent business process to bring about transformative results. So please join me in welcoming Microsoft Dynamics Corporate Vice President Frank Holland.
Great, thanks, Tan. Well, it's really a pleasure to be here today and share what we do think is an exciting new vision for a term that we're using, at least in working format, that we refer to as orchestrated social selling. A couple of caveats that I want to make sure I land before I get into the details here. This is the first time I've actually done this deck. The paint is literally still in the can on it, and as a result, I'd love your feedback. If you've got any feedback, good or bad, you can find me on LinkedIn, or please use my work email, which is frank@microsoft.com. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Like I said, our goal is to paint the white space that exists right now in this area where we have typically thought of systems of record outside the context of social. Historically, we don't really mix those two things together. And the exciting news around LinkedIn and the acquisition that Tan talked about us doing in December is that we have done a lot of work in envisioning how the social graph represented by LinkedIn can meet the professional graph represented by Office 365 and the productivity assets around Dynamics. So with that in mind, let me make a bold prediction. I think 2017 will be, if not the last year, the year before the last year, that we use the terms CRM and ERP. When I first started my, sure, you can applaud all you want to that. When I first started my career many years ago, I was actually a solution specialist for ERP. In fact, one of my customers at the time, as I was a consultant, was Microsoft. And we screwed in the very first MRP system in this company. It was also the very last one as well, because we don't manufacture anything anymore, at least in a physical sense. But the term ERP and CRM really does imply a siloed way of thinking about systems of record. And the notion that someone would spend their entire time within one function, like procurement or opportunity and lead generation or the accounting function with only access to those particular features is a bit dated. And I say that knowing full well that that's a huge understatement. So with that in mind, what do we want to get done? We would like to make sure that the way a customer or a seller or a planner view their role within a company is the same way that the tools support it. And oftentimes what you'll see, in fact in most cases what you'll see, is that any one of the people inside those functions that I just mentioned will move from one function to another, will require data in a procurement sense to do their inventory work, will require financial data in order to do their pipeline reviews. You don't just stay within a silo in order to be the most productive. And in fact, we've made it sort of a tenet of our digital transformation thesis that you have to be able to transit across all these functions. And in order to do that, you've got to build a product that supports it from a technical standpoint. So that's really what you're seeing with Dynamics 365. And in order to explain this and land it in a way that I think probably resonates not only with IT people, but also with business people, what I've done is kind of gone out on a limb and showed you a slice of the logical data model behind Dynamics 365. You can see elements that you would encounter when you were using Dynamics 365, either on the operations side or within one of the many customer engagement applications that we've got. Now, this is groundbreaking in its own right because there isn't another vendor that does this kind of integration across all these functions. You just won't find it. This is probably the biggest point of differentiation that Microsoft has as we were thinking about what we want to do with Dynamics 365. How do we want to make ourselves unique in the marketplace? And before a single line of code was cut, we started at this, the integrated common data, what we call the common data service, that allows for you to access each element of Dynamics 365 as though it were a callable object. So if you're an IT person and you want to build real industry-scaled vertical type IP on top of this, you can do it because we make all these elements callable and codable too. Similarly, if you're a partner and you want to build unique functionality that we wouldn't think of building in our horizontal offering around Dynamics 365, you can do it. And you can publish it inside our AppSource product, where all our marketplace partners would store their offerings for purchase and learning about into the CRM and the ERP marketplace of yore. That's not all we wanted to do, though. We wanted to make sure that you could also expose all of the Office 365 data elements. So as you were thinking about where you spend most of your time, if you're a professional in any one of those functions, you've got a reason to be in Dynamics, you've got a reason to be in Office. Those are open all the time on your desktop. And it really doesn't matter which of the functions that we're talking about. For a desk worker, that's where you see yourself. These are the tools of today. And yet that wasn't really good enough because as I said before, we wanted to offer vertical IP, industry-specific IP through our partners that could be exposed through AppSource, our marketplace. And today, up till now, we've kind of stopped there. But when we bought LinkedIn, things changed because we realized we had an opportunity to expose not just the productivity graph, which is represented by this data model, but also the social graph. And I've just given you an illustration of what that would look like when we incorporate LinkedIn and the Sales Navigator features to the Dynamics 365 workflow. You should expect of us that we will do a brilliant job of making this exposable, not just if you are in your workflow inside the Sales app for Dynamics 365, but also within the Sales Navigator app of LinkedIn. That level of integration, wherever you want to live, should be equally viable, equally excellent, equally unique within either one of those two applications. And that's really what we're talking about today, is that if you think about what differentiates computing of today versus computing of 30 years ago when I started my career, it's the following. We don't just automate business process. We can use things like machine learning and artificial intelligence to expose insights that humans aren't necessarily best equipped to generate. There's a whole field of things out there for which computers are best equipped to generate those sorts of insights. Crunching large sets of data is one of them. Being able to automate a process so that you've got a standard against which you can ask all of the people in your department to operate. That's another one. Being able to surface trends that you have to filter through vast amounts of seemingly disconnected data is a third. We want to bring all that together so that not only do you have the ability to automate your business process, where we were 30 years ago, but you've got the opportunity to generate unique insights from that so that you can take the next best action that the computer might expose for you, but it takes a human to execute against. And that's what we're trying to do with respect to Dynamics 365. And the work that we're doing to integrate LinkedIn Sales Navigator product is part of it. But the other part is that we want to take all the partner products out there and make sure that when they publish to AppSource, you've got the same level of insight, the same level of access to the data that they will be hosting in your Dynamics 365 journey through the customer experience or through the Sales Navigator experience. That means taking data from the web, taking feeds from social media, exposing weather data if you happen to be dependent on the weather and you operate in a business that requires that. Legacy CRM and ERP data that you don't want to necessarily convert into your new digitally transformed environment but need access to. All of that is available to reason over within Dynamics 365, and we want to make sure that that is also integrated with the way that we expose Sales Navigator features, so that the orchestrated social seller has the ability to get access and insight to all of it. Now, I guess at the headline level, you would think about this whole concept of the social graph represented by LinkedIn's Sales Navigator asset and the productivity graph represented by Office and Dynamics 365 meeting in a place where it can generate vast amounts of data that, again, the computer is in the best position to be able to reason over and provide actionable insights against. That's kind of the goal. If I were to put a headline against this whole concept of orchestrated social selling, that's the goal that we want to provide with that kind of integration. And again, within a few, in the not too distant future, you should see not just concepts like the ones I'm sharing with you today, but actual working code and a SKU that you can purchase, along with a technical roadmap that you can follow our progress along. So, business process meets business connections, and where they do, you generate unique types of data that we can create unique ways of reasoning over that will provide and build unique insights that no other sales process could necessarily have surfaced. So there's a stat out there today that says if you're a brand new seller in a company, you're equipped with 3 things. In fact, 80% of today's sellers get the following. They get a CRM seat, they get an email or Office type suite seat, and they get a Sales Navigator seat. Typically, and probably you guys can share your stories with me about how you think about equipping your sellers out there, but this is what we found the research shows as we've done our surveys about what kinds of tech people are equipped with. These are the 3 most prevalent pieces of tech. From a software standpoint, obviously the device piece is a little bit broader playing field, but these are the 3 pieces of tech. When you dive in to the most productive salespeople in those companies, 90% of them use this concept of social selling in the way that they behave. So not only is the tech something that is available today, but that we find the most productive sellers are taking advantage of it in a way that the CRM business process of 30 years ago wouldn't have conceived. And that we, in the way that we've envisioned the future of orchestrated social selling, have created an environment whereby we think we've got a very differentiated point of view versus our competition. You could go out and spend, let's just do the math on this, spend a little bit over $300 if you were to buy a Sales Cloud seat from Salesforce. That's a little over $100. A Dynamics, or rather a LinkedIn seat for Sales Navigator, that's a little bit over $100. And then an Office subscription, that's about $5 a month. Sorry, I said 300, I meant 200. When you do the same thing with Dynamics 365 instead, and because these are assets that we own, you should expect that we'll provide not only the value of the integration that I went over earlier, the way that these 3 products work seamlessly together, and that our partners would build on to create unique and differentiated IP by industry vertical or by solution type, but that we'd also offer it at a compelling price because we can sell the entire thing to you at once. That's how we think about our value differentiation. It comes not only in the way of giving you technology that you can't get anywhere else, but also giving it to you at a price point that you can't find anywhere else. We think that's going to disrupt the market. We think that's going to be a very, very difficult thing to walk away from when you think about the value that you already get from your office deployment and mining that in the way that you think about enabling your salespeople to take more advantage of the concepts behind integrated and orchestrated social selling. So we'll see if the term sticks. We'll see if the term sticks. The sorts of examples, though, that I want to bring to life behind orchestrated social selling are listed here. And I just want to give you a couple of examples about how we think that our offer, this unique integrated Sales Navigator plus Dynamics 365 for Sales offer, will cooperate and interact together. The first thing that we think it'll do is allow you to use things like search within Sales Navigator to understand within the course of your Dynamics 365 workflow, within the course of that, identifying decision makers so that you don't have to leave that particular workflow. It'll surface it naturally. It'll also allow for you to do something that I already do today, and it's natural to me because I run a sales force. You know, we've got about 2,000 sellers around the world that sell Dynamics. And I'll do win room reviews, and I'll do, as part of that, close plan reviews. The thing I want to understand when I review the close plan that the account team has built is what does not only your IT decision maker heat map look like, who's the CIO, what's our relationship with them, but what's the business decision maker's heat map look like in terms of our relationships. You all probably do this as well. Right? Go through and find out who you know, who's going to make the decision, who owns the budget, and ask the questions about how well we know them and what we're doing in order to convince them that our product makes the most sense. You can do that now within, or you could do that within the concept of being able to work within the workflow around Dynamics 365 and Sales Navigator together. I've got both of them up when I'm in that win room, looking at our close plan versus the relationships that we've got. And I ask questions like, who else knows these people? Can I get someone in another department to help me out because they happen to have a relationship? Those capabilities would be available, and that's the sort of thing you should expect from us. The notion of discovering brand new relationships is also important. So if I've got an existing account that I'm working in, I want to find an opportunity that might exist that's adjacent to the area that I'm working in. And I can do that because I can look at the lead recommendations that would surface inside Dynamics 365 built on the capabilities of Sales Navigator so that I can understand who else might be an opportunity for me to cover. And I can do it again within that same workflow. Finding an existing contact who could help me have that connection is something that you could also do. So those are just a couple of examples around relationship mapping. In terms of account updates, I know I've been in situations where I'm just about to ink a deal and my sponsor leaves. Finding out who that new sponsor is, what kind of budget they've got, and what their remit is something I hold all my account managers very accountable to. Because I want to make sure that we don't lose a deal just because the decision maker happened to go into a new job or go to a new company. I also want to make sure that I understand what sorts of investments that company's making. And because LinkedIn captures all of this data from the public web as well as from what their users generate, their members generate, we can capture that in an integrated feed between your sales pursuit activity and workflow and the way that we expose that Sales Navigator data. Finally, I believe that relationship health is something that we don't do enough monitoring of. How long has it been since I've contacted this particular customer? What does their supply chain look like in terms of their ordering of our product? Are they about to run out of inventory? If so, I want to do a call down on that. And I can find that based on the integration between the data in your social graph and your professional graph. So those are just 4 examples of how we think we're going to really disrupt and reinvigorate through what we call, and I hope it does stick because I kind of like the term, orchestrated social selling within the context of your existing business processes. So let me leave you with a thought. There is a term inside Sales Navigator, it's math that they do, where they show your social selling index, and it's made up of 4 things. Your professional brand, in other words, how much of a brand have you already built in your existing LinkedIn profile, who you know through your relationships, the way you engage with and use insights is the 3rd one, and the 4th one is the strength of those relationships. How have you nurtured those? That exists today. I guess I'd challenge you all, or maybe not necessarily make it a challenge, but more an opportunity to understand what kind of value you'd be able to mine out of your organization if you were to up the social selling index of all of your sellers. That's an opportunity I'll throw out, and in order to deliver against that promise, I'd encourage you to watch this space in the next few months for announcements that we might have around that very same opportunity. It's been a pleasure to be here with you today. I hope you have a terrific rest of week. I guess you've got activities this afternoon and then again tomorrow. We look forward to bringing this alive with and for you and help you on your digital transformation journey. Thanks very much.
All right, so we've reached the end of our live stream coverage of the CXO Summit, so we have to say goodbye to everyone who is watching online. There are thousands of you out there. We want to say thank you so much for watching. We hope that you do keep up with us. Do continue talking about this summit on Twitter. Remember, our hashtag is CXO Summit 17. And if you want to rewatch any of the sessions or catch anything that you may have missed, check back with us because we are going to have on-demand content a little later on. So on behalf of Microsoft and all of our speakers today, thank you to our online audience for tuning in today.